My son and his wife secretly planned to steal my house, so I quietly erased them from my will. And turned their lives upside down. So I'm 62, male, sitting now thinking about how everything went down. It didn't start with some huge fight or anything dramatic, just this slow build of disrespect that eventually made me realize my own son was trying to snatch what I spent my whole life building. My house wasn't fancy or anything, just a solid 4-bedroom with enough yard for grilling and for Duke, my lazy old dog, to chill. Bought it 30 years ago with my wife Linda, would be 59 now, when we were still figuring life out. She fell for the kitchen. I was stoked about the garage being big enough for a proper workbench. We turned it into our spot, raised Jared there, made memories. The plan was to die there eventually. Linda passed 7 years ago. Cancer that came fast and didn't mess around. 6 months from your sick to funeral. Not even enough time to process what was happening. One day she was complaining about back pain. Next thing we're sitting across from some doctor who couldn't look us in the eye, telling us it was already in her liver, lungs, and bones. Stage 4. Those last months were rough. She stayed tough though, tougher than me. Remember the night before she started chemo, we sat on the porch and she made me promise not to get weird after she was gone. Said she'd haunt my ass if I turned her closet into some kind of shrine. That was Linda, practical to the end. Even made me fix that leaky faucet in the bathroom while she was on hospice. Just because I'm dying doesn't mean we should waste water, she said. I went back to work like 2 weeks after burying her because what the fuck else was I going to do? Just sit there listening to the house echo? Her side of the bed stayed made. Her coffee mug stayed in the cabinet. Sometimes I'd find a random hair tie or one of her earrings in some corner of the house, and it would knock me on my ass for an hour. Place felt like a museum some days, but I stayed. It was still home, you know? Plus Linda would get sad if I sold the place we built together. So I kept going. Did the lawn on Saturdays like always, fixed stuff when it broke, ate dinner at the same table, just on the other side now so I didn't have to look at her empty chair. My only son, 34, male, Jared, grew up in this house. Same backyard where he learned to ride his bike and same driveway where he almost burned his eyebrows off trying fireworks for the first time. Married Megan, 32, female, 3 years back. She's super polished, real estate agent with that perfect hair and voice that sounds like it belongs on a podcast. First time I met her, she called my house quaint, and not gonna lie, that should have been a red flag. I've always been there for Jared, always. Like when he wrapped his first car around a tree at 19, I didn't lecture him, just bought him another one. When he dropped out of college the first time, I paid for him to go back. Second time too. When his roommate bailed and he couldn't make rent for like 6 straight months, guess who was sending him cash? This guy. I remember when he met Megan at some work thing. He brought her home after they'd been dating a few months. She walked in looking like she was there to stage the place, not meet her boyfriend's dad. Eyes scanning everything, that little smile on her face. I can still hear her, "Oh, this place has such potential." At first I gave Megan props though. Jared was kind of a mess in his 20s, no direction, spent more time streaming on Twitch than working. Dude was 28 and still asking me for gas money. Megan got him to clean up, finish school, and get an actual grown-up job. Respect for that. Thought she was good for him. Didn't realize she was playing 4D chess. After they got married, they'd come over for Sunday dinners. Always have. It was Linda's tradition, family around the table, no phones, real food. I kept it going after she died. Gave me something to look forward to. For a while everything felt normal. Then Megan started dropping these comments, casual at first. "This neighborhood is fire for young families. You could get a bank for this place right now." Just random observations, I thought. Then the tone started shifting. It doesn't really make sense for one person to have a 4-bedroom house. Not the words that bothered me, the way she said it, like she was already measuring for new curtains. I ignored it. Didn't want to start drama. Jared would just say she was being practical, thinking ahead. He always deflected when convos got awkward. But it got under my skin for real, especially when she started pointing out stuff that could be updated around the house. Cabinets, flooring, windows. One Sunday she legit asked if I'd ever thought about taking out the wall between the kitchen and dining room. I laughed it off, but it wasn't funny. Started sounding less like a daughter-in-law visiting and more like someone eyeing property. Even worse was the way they'd casually ask about my retirement plans. Like, "Dad, you should really start thinking about enjoying life more." This coming from the kid who still had me co-sign his car loan last year because his credit was trash. Same kid who borrowed $5,000 from me to cover his portion of their honeymoon when his credit card got maxed out. But sure, tell me more about my financial planning, champ. I brushed it off for months, Kept telling myself I was being paranoid. Jared wouldn't try to push me out of my own house. He wouldn't treat me like I'm already 1 foot in the grave at 62. Except he would, and he did. Now let me tell you, there were a million little signs I missed. Like how Megan would always show up early for dinner and wander the house, taking pics of rooms on her phone, claiming she loved the lighting or needed inspiration for their apartment. Or that time she brought a freaking measuring tape and I caught her sizing up my living room windows. Said she was just curious about the dimensions for curtains she wanted to gift me. Yeah, right. Then there was Jared constantly bringing up his buddy Sam's dad who downsized and loves it. Every damn Sunday, Sam's dad got a condo in Florida and plays golf every day. Sam's dad says his maintenance-free townhome is the best decision he ever made. Got so bad I wanted to tell Sam's dad to mind his own business. There was the day Megan left her laptop open on my kitchen counter while getting more wine, and I glanced over to see Zillow pulled up with my address in the search bar and some calculation spreadsheet next to it. Closed it real quick when she saw me looking. Oh, and my favorite, how they'd casually forward me listings for those 55+ communities like they were doing me a favor. Look at the pool at this one, Dad. Like I'm some 80-year-old whose life dream is aqua aerobics with a bunch of strangers. Jared even pointed out one that was only 15 minutes from our place. How convenient for weekend visits that would never happen. The worst part, I almost fell for it. Almost started thinking maybe they were right. Maybe this place was too much house for one guy and a dog. Maybe I should be practical. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The real show was just getting started. Thank God for those break-ins down the street. Without them, I might have never installed those security cameras. And without those, I might have never known what they were really planning. So after those break-ins happened in the neighborhood, I decided to get a security system installed. Just some cameras at the doors and one in the main hallway. Didn't tell anyone about it. Figured it was my business, and honestly didn't think much of it. Just wanted some peace of mind, you know? Sunday dinners kept happening like normal, except they weren't normal anymore. It felt less family dinner and more tolerating the old man while planning their next move. Oh, and then there's Duke. I forgot to mention my dog. Lab Shepherd mix with half his face gone gray and an attitude just like mine. Got him 6 years ago from a shelter. Linda always wanted a dog, but her allergies made that impossible. After she died, the silence was too much. Duke was the first thing I did to break that silence and add some life to the house. They weren't Duke fans. Megan complained he shed too much. Jared said he took up a lot of space. I caught Megan once literally wiping her hands on her pants after petting him like he was dirty or something. Last month Megan even suggested I consider options for Duke when I eventually transitioned to a smaller space, like he was some old furniture I could just donate. I nearly lost it right there. Still, I figured maybe they were just clueless. I kept telling myself that until my phone buzzed during lunch at work, and everything changed. So I was at my desk eating leftover chili when I got a security alert, front door. Figured it was a delivery or something. 2 minutes later, another alert from the hallway cam. That one made me pause. Open the app, expecting to see Duke wandering around or maybe a glitch. Nope. There's Jared using his emergency key, walking in like he owns the place. Megan right behind him, heels clicking across the tile. No call, no text, just letting themselves in like it's their property. At first I thought maybe something happened, maybe they were checking if I was okay. But then I watched them keep walking, and then Megan started talking right away, loud enough for the mic to catch everything. God, this place is so dated. We could knock out this wall, she said, pointing like she was leading a freaking home tour. Open concept would make the space feel less depressing. I can't believe he won't even consider selling. They weren't there to check on me. They were there to scope out my house. I just sat there watching the video play. Jared was actively participating and nodding. Dad's been so stubborn lately. It's like he doesn't get that this house is wasted on him. I know, babe, Megan replied, but once we get him to see reason about downsizing, we can finally start making this place work for us. She opened cabinets, made disgusted faces at the flooring, talked about closet space like she was showing the place to clients. These cabinets are hideous. First thing to go, then they went upstairs. I kept watching. Megan walked into my bedroom and said, "This will be the nursery. Perfect light. And we can dump all his old crap in the basement or just trash it." Jared laughed. Good luck getting him to part with any of it. He's like a hoarder with all mom's old stuff. That's when I stopped the video for a second. I needed to breathe. I remember just sitting there, not even feeling angry yet, just processing, like when you get hit hard and your body hasn't registered the pain yet. These two people, my son and his wife, were literally planning to take over my house while I was still living in it. They weren't even being subtle about it. I let the next clip load anyway. Might as well see the whole tour. In the hallway she asked Jared if I'd updated my will. He said he wasn't sure but he'd been thinking about how to bring it up. Said the house should have stayed in the family anyway since I bought it with Mom. We need to start looking at assisted living places, Megan said. My client's dad is at Sunset Ridge, and they handle everything. Your dad would be so much better off there. Jared nodded. Yeah, we might need to push it soon for his safety, before he gets too stubborn. He's not getting any younger, and this house is way too much for him. I'm 62. I lift weights 3 times a week. I run most mornings. I've worked full-time since the 80s without a gap. I've got more energy than half the kids at his office. And these clowns are talking about shipping me off to a retirement home like I'm some senile grandfather who can't take care of himself. They spent like 45 minutes walking through my house, deciding what stays, what goes. Megan opened my closet, looked at Linda's old coats, and said, all this junk needs to go ASAP. So depressing keeping dead people's clothes. That junk? That was a 25-year marriage. That was holidays, vacations, nights in, weekends out. That was Linda. And this woman I barely know was ready to toss it like it was trash. They finished their little house tour with Jared adding, Dad's going to fight us on this, but he'll thank us once he's settled into a nice little retirement place. Then Megan laughed and said, he doesn't have to like it. It's happening either way. My mom dealt with the same thing with my grandpa. Sometimes you just have to take control for their own good. They locked up like they hadn't just invaded my life and drove off. Jared even fixed the porch rug like he was making himself at home. That night I got home and didn't say a word to them. Didn't call, didn't text. Duke stayed right by me all night. He knew something was wrong. He always knows. Laid across the entryway like a guard. The real kick in the nuts wasn't even that they wanted my house. It's that they thought I was done, used up. That at 62 I should just hand over my life's biggest asset and shuffle off to some glorified nursing home so they could play house in the place I built. Sitting there with Duke, I realized something. Jared wasn't the kid I raised anymore. Somewhere along the line he'd become someone who saw me as an obstacle, as something to manage. And Megan? She saw me as nothing more than a roadblock to her real estate dreams. That's when the anger finally hit, and with it came clarity. Next morning I called Frank, my attorney, and said, we've got work to do. Frank's been my guy for decades. Old school lawyer, still uses legal pads. Office looks like it's stuck in 1995. Made room for me that afternoon. I told him I needed to change my will, told him why, showed him the footage. He watched the whole thing without saying anything, just sat there with his reading glasses on his nose and tapping his pen. When it ended he leaned back and said, Jesus Christ, they really think you're done, huh? Yep, I said. They've already picked the nursery and trashed my wife's coats. Ungrateful little shits, Frank muttered. He's known Jared since he was a kid. All right, what do you want to do? And that's when I decided to get creative, real creative. I want them out of the picture, I said. Legally, financially, everything. He nodded, pulled out a legal pad, and got to work. I told him I wanted the house converted into a dog shelter after I die. No loopholes, no chances for them to reverse it. Partner with Second Chance Rescue. I've been walking dogs there since I got Duke. They're good people, no bullshit. Smart move, Frank said. We spent 2 hours putting together the framework. House becomes Linda and Greg's second chance shelter. Maintenance gets funded through a trust. I set aside money for a potential grandkid's education, just in case Jared ever grows up and raises a decent human. But I made sure Jared and Megan couldn't touch a single dollar. One more thing, I told Frank. I want to be crystal clear that this decision has nothing to do with my mental state and everything to do with their behavior. Document all of this, the footage, everything. Frank smiled, that smile that makes me glad he's on my side. Oh, we're going to document the hell out of this. By the time we're done, they'll have better luck squeezing water from a rock than contesting this will. Over the next couple weeks I played it cool. Kept hosting dinners, smiled when Megan brought up downsize options, nodded when Jared sent me links to retirement condos. I acted like I didn't know anything. One Sunday Megan brought over brochures for some place, claimed her client's dad moved in and loved it. Said it was just like a resort. I asked if they had kennels for dogs. She stared, then mumbled something about probably not. That's a shame, I said. Duke's kind of my non-negotiable roommate. Well, she said, there are always options for rehoming older pets. Sure, just like there are options for rehoming older parents, right? Wanted to ask her if they'd put me down too if I got too inconvenient. Instead I just smiled and changed the subject. Duke stayed glued to me that night. She tried to push him away from the couch. He just stared at her, didn't move. I didn't either. That week Frank finalized the documents. I went in, signed everything. He locked it all down. Official, legal, can't be reversed. You know they're going to lose their minds, right? Frank said. Counting on it, I replied. I also stopped by Second Chance and let them know what was coming. Sat down with the manager and explained the plan. She didn't ask for money, didn't try to sell me anything, just smiled and asked if I wanted Duke's photo on the plaque. I told her make it a big one. Once the paperwork was filed, I picked a Sunday and told Jared and Megan I had some news. Told them to come hungry. I was going all out. Megan replied with a smiley face. Jared asked if he should bring a bottle of wine. I said sure. They thought they were about to score big. They had no clue what was coming, so I spent most of Sunday cooking. Prime rib, mashed potatoes, roasted carrots, the works. Not because they deserved it, hell no, but because this was going to be the last dinner, and I wanted to go out with a bang. Plus nothing says screw you like making someone an amazing meal right before you blow up their world. They showed up right on time. Megan wore some expensive blazer like she was heading to close a deal. Jared looked nervous, which was interesting. Probably thought I was about to hand over the keys or ask them to take care of the place when I get old. I kept it casual, asked about their week. Megan talked about interest rates. Jared nodded like he understood any of it. Duke stayed under the table. Every time Megan walked by, his eyes followed her. Didn't growl, didn't bark, just watched. He knew. Dogs have a sixth sense about fake people. Duke had Megan's number from day one. Dinner went smooth. Megan said nice things about the wine. Jared asked if the meat was grass-fed. Christ, when did he become such a snob? This is the same kid who used to shove gas station hot dogs in his face like they were gourmet meals. Halfway through the meal, Megan made her move. Said her friend's dad had just moved into one of those active senior communities and was loving it. They even have poker nights and golf carts, she said, like I'd been dreaming of shuffleboard my whole life. Yeah, because nothing says living the dream like being warehoused with a bunch of other old folks waiting to die. Hard pass, I smiled. Sounds nice, I said. I've actually been thinking about my future too. That shut them up. Both looked up at the same time. Megan put her fork down like she was about to sign a contract. Oh really? She asked, trying to sound casual. Yeah, been doing a lot of planning, I said. I've made some decisions about the house. Jared leaned forward. What kind of decisions? The big kind. Future of the property kind. You could feel the tension. They thought this was it, their payday. Megan's eyes lit up like she just won the lottery. I got up, walked to the counter, grabbed the folder, and dropped it on the table. Updated my will. All final. Megan opened it like she couldn't wait. Jared just stared. When she hit the part about the house, her face completely changed, like watching someone go from winning the Super Bowl to stepping in dog shit in the span of 3 seconds. It's going to be what? She asked, like she misread it. A dog shelter, partnered with Second Chance Rescue. Duke's future home. Linda's name will be on the sign. Jared didn't say anything for a second. Megan's face turned red. You're turning this place into a pound? She yelled. Oh, pretty much, but it'll be a no-kill shelter. Well run, super clean, good people. You can't be serious, she said, standing up now. This is prime real estate. This is our inheritance. I'm dead serious, I said calmly. And our inheritance? What makes you think you've earned an inheritance? That's when Jared chimed in. Dad, this is insane. You can't just throw away everything Mom and you built. It is staying in the family, I replied. Just the part of the family that didn't try to shove me in a retirement home. That's when I pulled out my phone, opened the security app, and hit play. Their voices filled the room. Megan's tour of the house. Jared agreeing. Her calling Linda's things junk. The part about assisted living. Every nasty comment, every plan. Watching their faces change as they heard themselves was almost worth the betrayal. When it ended, the room was dead silent, like someone had sucked all the air out. She exploded. You spied on us? That's illegal. You can't just record people without their knowledge. It's my house, I said. And I can absolutely have security cameras in my own property. Jared was pale as a ghost. Dad, we were just talking. We didn't mean. Save it, I cut him off. You meant every word. You've been planning this for months. Megan tried a different approach. Greg, be reasonable. We're just trying to help you plan for your future. This house is way too big for one person. You're not getting any younger and I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself and my home. This is ridiculous, she snapped. Jared, tell your father how ridiculous he's being. Jared looked trapped. Dad, we just want what's best for you. Megan is right. This house is too big for you even if you're capable of. Really? Like putting me in a home is what's best? Like calling your mother's things junk is what's best? Guess what? I heard every word. Every single word. We're going to have a family soon. We need the space. Don't you want your grandchildren to grow up in this house, to have the same memories Jared had? Megan started with the crocodile tears and the grandkid card. Clever. Too bad I was ready for it. Nice try, I said, but using hypothetical grandkids as leverage is pretty low, even for you. That's when she lost it completely. Started screaming about how selfish I was, how I was ruining their future, how they'd been counting on this house. Jared tried to calm her down, but she was on a roll. You ungrateful old man. After everything we've done for you, coming to these stupid dinners every week, listening to your boring stories, pretending to care about your dumb dog, and there it was, the truth. Jared finally found his spine. Megan, shut up. Too late, buddy. Way too late. He doesn't deserve this house. My parents said we should have taken legal action months ago. Oh, so her parents were in on it too. The whole damn squad was planning my retirement. How thoughtful. You can keep the wine, I said, standing up. Dinner's over. Actually, Sunday dinners are done. And so are we. Megan knocked over her chair and stormed toward the door. You'll regret this. My father knows people. We'll contest the will, I laughed. Good luck with that. Jared stayed seated, looking devastated. The reality was finally sinking in. He'd bet on the wrong horse and lost everything. Dad, please don't do this. We can talk about it. You did this, I said. Not me. Now get out of my house and leave your key. He tried to argue more, but I just stared him down until he finally got up, placed his house key on the table, and followed his wife out. I locked the door behind them. Duke came out from under the table, looked up at me like, finally. They thought they were getting a house. What they got was a reality check, and honestly, that night with the trash taken out and just me and Duke in a quiet house? Best sleep I'd had in months, so the aftermath was nuclear, as you'd expect. About an hour after they left, my phone blew up, texts from Jared, missed calls, voicemails. I didn't answer any of it, didn't even listen to the messages. Just muted my phone and poured myself a drink. Next morning, I checked my email. Megan had sent me a message with the subject line "Let's talk calmly." 3 paragraphs of bullshit nonsense, words like misunderstanding and family unity. No apology, just spin. Classic Megan. I deleted it without responding. Later that day I got a call from my sister-in-law Sarah, Linda's younger sister. She sounded confused, almost accusatory. Said she'd heard I was donating the house to a dog rescue and asked if I'd thought about what that meant for Jared's future. I told her I'd thought about it plenty. Then I sent her the video. She didn't call back after that. She just replied with a text, Jesus Christ. Then came the real thing. Megan's mother, this woman I'd met maybe 3 times, called me screaming, literally screaming. How dare I treat her daughter this way? How could I cut off my own son? How I was breaking Megan's heart and destroying their future. The nerve she got was unbelievable. I let her rant for about 30 seconds before I cut her off. Told her exactly what her precious daughter and my son were caught saying on camera. Told her they called my late wife's belongings junk that needed to be thrown out. She sputtered something about family helping family and how I was too old to need all that space anyway. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, huh? I hung up mid-sentence. Things got even pettier. I stopped by my realtor's office to get paperwork started on transferring title to the trust. When the receptionist said my son had already called. Turns out Megan had contacted my realtor behind my back, claimed she was concerned about my mental state, and wanted to know how to reverse unauthorized estate changes. Translation: she wanted to know if she could get the will thrown out. Realtor shut her down, thankfully. She's known me for 20 years, knows I'm not some senile old fool. That week Megan started posting passive-aggressive stuff on social media. No names of course, just enough to start drama. One post actually said, sometimes the most difficult people to help are the ones who need it most. Got like 50 sympathy comments from her echo chamber friends. Modern problems, I guess. When your house stealing scheme fails, just go on Facebook and play victim. I started getting calls from people we both know, friends who barely talk to me suddenly checking in. The tone was always the same, sweet on the surface, nosy underneath. Are you okay? Are you thinking clearly? Maybe talk to Jared again. It was so obvious Megan and Jared had been working the phones, spinning their version. I didn't play their game. Instead I went back to Frank, had him draft a cease and desist letter to send to Jared and Megan, officially informing them they were no longer welcome on my property, that any future attempts to access the house would be considered trespassing, and that all communication should go through Frank from now on. Meanwhile I doubled down at Second Chance Rescue. Started volunteering more, got the legal team working on the shelter conversion plans. No sense waiting around. I've worked too hard, lost too much, and lived too long to be treated like I'm already dead in my own home. A couple of idiots won't be able to take what I've built. So it's been 3 months since my last post, and guess what? The cease and desist letters didn't stop Jared. He showed up last weekend while I was in the front yard fixing the sprinklers. Duke barked the second he saw him. Still the best security system I've got. Jared looked like complete shit, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, clothes wrinkled like he'd been sleeping in his car, which turns out wasn't far from the truth. "Hey Dad, I need to talk to you," he said, standing awkwardly like he wasn't sure if he'd get tased for trespassing. "Frank's number hasn't changed," I replied, not looking up from the sprinkler head I was replacing. "I'm divorcing Megan." That got my attention. I stood up, wiped my hands on my jeans. "And I screwed up, really screwed up. You were right about her, about everything. Dad, I'm so sorry. I crossed the line." Apparently Megan didn't take the news of their lost inheritance too well. Started blaming Jared for not handling me properly. When their scheme to get my house fell apart, she moved on to Plan B, Jared's parents' vacation home in Colorado. Started the same routine with them, talking about renovations and how they were too old to maintain it. That's when Jared finally lost it. Said it was like watching a replay of what happened with me, except now he was seeing it from the outside. They'd been fighting for weeks, and he finally moved out 3 days ago. "So what do you want from me? A medal for finally realizing your wife is a gold digger? Bit late, isn't it?" I asked. "I know. I don't deserve anything from you, but Dad, I'm really sorry. I got caught up in her plans. I was blind." "Blind? You were a freaking accomplice. You stood in my bedroom talking about turning it into a nursery while I was still using it. And now what? You think you can just apologize and move back home until you sort your life out again?" "No, I wouldn't ask that. I wanted you to know I'm trying to make it right. I told Mom's sister everything. Told Megan's parents too." I laughed. "And how'd that go over?" "About as well as you'd expect. Her dad threatened to sue me for defamation." Shocker, there was an awkward silence before Jared continued. "Look, I'm not asking to be back in your life. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry." I went back to fixing the sprinkler. Noted. "The shelter plans look great by the way. I drove by last week, saw the construction crew." "Yep. Can I at least know if you're doing okay?" I looked up at him. "I'm doing fine. Better than fine. Don't need to worry about me." He nodded, looking around at the yard, the house, probably thinking about all he'd thrown away. As he turned to leave, I called out, "Jared." He turned back, hopeful. "Don't ask her for alimony. She'll take you for everything you've got left. Get a better lawyer than she has." His shoulders slumped a bit, probably hoping for more, but he nodded. "Thanks, Dad." I watched him drive away, then went back to my sprinklers. Didn't feel bad, didn't feel good, just felt done. Meanwhile I've been busy making this shelter happen. Got the contractor to come out and assess what renovations we'll need. Told him exactly what I wanted: industrial grade floors that can handle dog traffic, better ventilation system, kennels with easy access doors, and a proper fenced area out back for the dogs to run. Second chance rescue, and I signed the formal partnership agreement last month. They're officially taking over once I'm gone, but we're not waiting around. Already hosted our first adoption event in the backyard. Had 8 dogs, and 6 of them found homes. Not bad for a test run. I'm at the shelter 3 times a week now, cleaning kennels, walking dogs, helping with adoptions. It's honest work. You get dirty, you get tired, but you see immediate results. Can't say the same about raising a kid. I also had my buddy who's a contractor come by to give me an estimate on what Jared and Megan's renovation plans would have cost. He nearly spit out his coffee when I showed him what they wanted to do. Said it would have been minimum $180,000 to do their open concept nonsense and all the other crap they were talking about. Where were they planning to get that money? 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. Made sure the trust is fully funded. Between my 401k, savings, and some Apple stock I bought in the early 2000s and forgot about, the shelter will be covered for decades. Frank made everything ironclad. If Megan tries fighting it after the divorce, she'll burn through cash on lawyers just to get laughed out of court. Some nights I sit out on the porch with a cold one, looking at what Linda and I built, and feel something I haven't felt in years: satisfaction. Not happiness exactly, just that solid feeling of knowing you did the right thing, even when it was hard. As for Jared, I don't know. Maybe someday, maybe not. Not my problem right now. They tried to take my home. Instead I turned it into something they can't touch. Let Jared explain to his future kids, if he ever has any, why Grandpa's house became a shelter. Better yet, let the kids figure it out themselves, one dog at a time. Funny thing about betrayal, it shows you who actually matters. And sometimes it's not even people. It's the old dog snoring at your feet who'd never dream of pushing you aside just because you take up too much space.